What's up, guys? Today I want to talk about seniority of vibration, and this term comes out of the book The Law of One. And essentially, this seniority that the Law of One describes is talking about the order and the kind of the level of maturity for each soul. So essentially, the seniority of vibration would give favorable incarnation to those souls and those wandering spirits to advance at critical moments at a planetary sphere's evolution. So there's evolution from one density to the other, I talk about in other videos, and from third to fourth density is what we're experiencing now. And in 1950 there was 2.5 billion people on Earth, and today there's 7.5 billion, and this dramatic multiplication of population is due to the event that is going on here on Earth. And I can't say it's not one event particularly, but it's essentially all the things that are happening now and are going to happen are because of a harvest. And a harvest is the time where the planetary sphere undergoes a massive transformation to make a vibratory shift from third density to fourth density. And this will ultimately change the very chemical structure of human DNA. And although we will look the same, we're essentially changing our DNA and allowing more light to pass through and a little more electromagnetic energy to pass through our bodies. So this traumatic change, and also very productive and busy time in human species lives, are due to the influx of solar energy, and I'm not going to get too much into the scientific area. I want to stick to the reincarnation piece on the seniority of vibration. So when the seniority of vibration is met and we are incarnated, souls are incarnated through their own free will to essentially make that harvestable cutoff. And because this time is so favorable towards harvest and towards advancement of the soul, so just a little background, the third density is the most intense density because it's polarizing towards the you have a greater amount of free will here because you're not so connected with everybody on a like telepathic and psychic level as you are in fourth density, because the civilization becomes much more united in its own intention and goals, because essentially the race is becoming spacefaring, so they have to very much unite their resources and unite their minds in order to explore space and do the things that they need to do in order to be a star-faring, planet-faring interplanetary race. So, and that means also utilizing their connections and their relationships with extraterrestrial races as well. So, and in order for this to happen, there needs to be like everybody behind it, and so to speak, because if there's like whole portions of the planet that are against each other, then the efficiency of the planetary intelligence, which is humans, is going to not be as much as it could be, and it could not allow for us to really develop in that fourth density at environment. And this is going to cause the more that we resist, the new concepts, the new science that is coming out, the more that disharmony we're going to have within our own psyches, and that is going to manifest out into the world as natural disasters, and also disease, illness, sickness, stress. All of that is because of your own psyche, your own subconscious not adhering or not paying attention to the energy that is going on. And this is a subtle energy. This is not something that's obvious. It's something very subjective. That's why many spiritual seekers are turning inward. And actually, it's just coming more common for people to become more spiritual, because they are here for harvest. Those souls that are becoming more in tune are remembering why they're here, and that's why they are they're shifting their focus, and they're bending their mind, body, and spirit and their will towards the priority of spiritual advancement and polarization. And for those of you who don't understand polarization, which I talk about in other videos, polarization is just basically we choose every moment whether we want to be of service to self, which is in traditional terms what we call like evil or bad or wrong, or service to others, which in traditional terms we call good, light workers, or the right way to go, right? And I want to remind you that there's no right, wrong, good, or bad. It's all a preferential choice, and no matter what somebody chooses, it's for their own good. It's for their own learning. So don't judge somebody based on their own decisions. Think of it as a non-duality. There's balance, and if one were to live without the other, there would be hardly any opportunity for us to really evolve and have any opportunity to improve on our service to others. If we didn't have the service to self people to kind of sharpen and make ourselves more aware of ourselves, and same with them, they wouldn't have the opportunity to work on themselves and their own struggle for power if they didn't have other people to appear to be powerful over because it's all felt within. It's not like you can point out what power is in the real world. It's something that is a subjective thing that humans experience. So it's very personal to the human. And so this seniority of vibration is given to those souls that are here, that have incarnated, because they want to utilize this polarization opportunity and to harmonize with the new vibrations of Earth and the new intelligence that's coming in, that's never been accessible before, really, to this extent. And this, so the internet's been a huge help for that, even though it's been artificial kind of telepathy and information exchange for human beings. It's still put in place for a good reason, for the exchange of free communication. So it's helpful. And then also the seniority of vibration gives favorable priority to those who are more likely to be harvested, which means like after the physical death that they will move into a whole new whole new orbit of the solar system. And this whole orbit, I know there's a lot of backstory on this, but they talk about it in the Law of One, and there's a lot to cover. But essentially, there's whole orbits of the solar system around the galaxy, and at each returning spot where they begin, it's kind of like a portal or a gateway for another evolution into a new density, and this happens to be the third into the fourth. So we're at that place in time and space in our galaxy where we're traveling through interstellar medium, and it's highly charged particles and energy essentially, and it's highly accelerating this output of light and heat of our sun, and therefore impacting the earth. So it's impacting the human consciousness in a very profound way. And yes, again, going back to the population being 7.5 billion, 3 times as much as it was 70 years ago. It's as if there was a collection of people here for an event. If you were driving through town and just going about your own business, doing your normal rounds, and at some point you ran into a bunch of traffic, and people were getting out of their cars and going towards this big event, this big concert or sports game or whatever, and it was much more crowded, and that's very much what it's like right now. And there's this big thing going on that not many people are aware of, but those keen enough and those searching and willing enough to explore into the depths of human consciousness this will become very evident, because there's just too much things that are going on that are coincidences, that are if you believe in there is a reason for things to happen simultaneously and making connections, and the more that you make those connections, the more that you become integrated in your own knowledge and your own learning about your consciousness and your ability to perceive the world as you would like. And so the seniority vibration is those souls that have come here for the harvest time, and they are those who are working on themselves with self-improvement and the improvement with the soul in mind. It's not just you're not just working on your body, you're also working on your mind and your body connection. It's very evident that they're connected, and that will eventually, you'll get to a point where you start to break thresholds and continue to advance and increase. That will provide you very practical and tangible results when you're pursuing spiritual endeavors here. And this opportunity to incarnate into third density is allowing you, because I'm convinced that whoever you are that is watching this is based on the seniority of vibration law, and that you were here to advance in spiritual knowledge and spiritual energy. So, and the third density again is just allowing us to polarize even greater, because there is no influence, there is no connection, there's not as much connection to others when you're in fourth density and fifth density. There's a lot more catalyst. I talk about this in another video. There's much more opportunities for you to switch your polarity in each moment here in third density, because there's so much violence and so much disease and death and like just like brutal stuff. So coming back, for instance, if you were a soul that was advanced and wanted to come back because you wanted to polarize more in order for you to advance in the higher densities, because it's harder for you to polarize in advanced higher densities. There's not as much catalyst, there's not as much death and destruction and like friction essentially with other consciousnesses, because we're all cooperating under the consciousness of Earth, but we're also competing with our own free wills in a way that we each have desires that most of the time do not correlate with other people's, because we're all wanting power, we're all wanting the most money and the most security. So this gives way to a little bit of a confusion and conflict within the mind and within the consciousness of each individual wanting to pursue that way. So you're here because you are putting your spiritual life and your spiritual advancement in priority, and that's why you are here. And it's a great honor to be here, because this is a huge moment and shift in this planetary sphere and this planetary consciousness, and there's a lot of people supervising it. It's a huge production, and it's allowing for this great event to occur with optimally the optimal harvest, the optimal individuals willing to make those transition from third to fourth density. And whether you choose service to self or service to others, you have to live that path more and more each day in each moment, and choose one or the other polarity in each and every choice. So that will allow for you to polarize, and there's a certain percentage that you need that they describe about. It's like 51% service to others is just as difficult as being 95% service to self. So if you are above those thresholds, then you ultimately will, in the next life and also in this life, you will experience higher density intelligence. So you will get from your future self, which is incarnate at this, is simultaneously occurring at this space-time nexus in the higher densities, and that intelligence will be able to, you'll be able to access that more readily the more polarized you are, because the more polarized you are, the more free will you have, the stronger the will, the stronger the polarization, the stronger the will. So you get the idea. And yeah, the seniority of vibration is definitely something important. I just want to talk about it, and if you guys have any questions about it, I'd love to explain a little bit more. Hopefully I did a good job. So yeah, I'll be talking about this concept and many others out of the Law of One material, as well as the stuff that I pull through as well. So thanks for watching, guys.